he can, improve his performance through nutrients alone. So, could you speak a little bit to the change in the regimen that you've had with that, and maybe some of the effects that you've experienced as a result?
Yeah, really there wasn't that much of a change. When I started working with Ryan, I felt great. I really didn't have any reason to actually start working with Ryan other than he was a friend and I was curious. I felt great. I was in great shape. Everything. In fact, the first time I met with Ryan, he said, after we work with each other for a while, the first thing you're going to see is increased energy. And I was like, you fucking know what you're talking about? I mean, I'm pinging off the walls already. But he said, no, you're gonna see an increase in energy. And I was like, yeah, okay, well, we'll see. And sure enough, a couple weeks into the regimen, I did feel a lot more energy, but it wasn't like the a jittery coffee or speed type of energy. It wasn't that type of energy. It was just, I feel like I can just keep going. I don't have, whatever it is, whether it was a cognitive task or whether it was a physical task, I just didn't feel the need to slow down or anything. And at that time, I was working kind of crazy hours because I was actually on the floor training, which meant I was up at 4 a.m. and working throughout the day. And I would come home because our house, we used to live right by one of the gyms, and I would come home every afternoon, take a 20-minute nap, 30-minute nap, pop right up, and I'm off and going. Well, the first thing I noticed was, after working with Ryan for a couple of weeks, was I didn't feel that need to take that nap. And even though I was still working crazy hours, I just didn't feel the need to take the nap, so I didn't. And I didn't realize that for a while, and then I was like, wow, I haven't felt the need to go home and crash out like that before. So I have to give it to Ryan. I was like, okay, you were right. I had more energy. So I would just say that the ability for someone who knows what they're doing to look into the genetic data and pinpoint the methylation cycles in each individual that might not be firing on all cylinders, and to be able to supplement appropriately for that, or to change the diet, because I did change my diet. I went closer to an AIP, if anybody knows what that is. It's a autoimmune protocol. For me, nightshades are a big issue, and I say big relatively. I can still eat them and function okay, but I'm optimal if I don't touch them. And there were some other things that he had me drop out of my diet, that coffee for one, not because of the caffeine. I'm actually a very, very fast caffeine metabolizer, but it's that the thiols within the coffee that were an issue for me. And some other elements like that he had me drop, that if you just looked at it without any knowledge, you would go, that's just like a scattershotting of stuff that he's having me withdraw out of my diet, but actually made all the sense in the world, and it changed. I can say, on the quantifying side of things, I lost 20 pounds. And from where, I don't know. But I think some of it was water weight, inflammation, which he agreed with. He thought a lot of it was inflammation, but some of it was body fat. And I can tell you that the equipment that we use at Efficient Exercise, some of it allows me to very, very precisely measure my power output. And my power output did not change. Now, as a strength and conditioning specialist, if somebody loses 20 pounds, for sure, if they're if they're of appropriate training age, their power output is going to follow that weight loss. That's just the way it goes. But mine did not. It stayed level. Now, I didn't increase, but after a 20-pound loss, I didn't lose anything, which is pretty miraculous for people who are into strength and conditioning and nerd out on it like I do. It was like unheard of. Now, on the quantification side of it, during this period, I did, in all honesty, I did kind of on a half dare get rid of my car and had to bike everywhere. So, there was that. So there was an added aerobic element involved in that, but still 20 pounds. I don't think that 20 pounds would have come off just by biking. So
we do have an expert when it comes to genetic testing. So for someone who came into your practice and they just wanted to be optimized, would you start with genetic testing? And if so, how would that go? And if not, what would you start with?
It's not a matter of starting with anything. They're all trees in the forest. So we use, and trying to use genetic data, I mean, if you go out there and you order these tests, they give you a direct-to-consumer report, realize that these are about as good as palm reading when it comes to predicting what you're made for. The direct-to-consumer test looks at the hardware of the computer, but the software is the program that's running on it, and that's the epigenetics. So you need somebody who's trained in the interpretation of these. I mean, I've seen people with full MTHFR homozygous, which is one of the most serious methylation polymorphisms that you're going to see in the genetics. It is not a mutation. It never has been a mutation. But it's marketed that way. So you get a lot of online marketers that will market the fact that you have a mutation in your genetics. If you're looking at SNPs, you're not looking at mutations, you're looking at polymorphisms. And in fact, people with an MTHFR homozygous who have low methylation, they actually have survival benefits with a high folate diet. They will have less cancer rates, colon cancer rates, less prostate cancer rates when they have a folate-rich diet. So it's a matter of helping people to identify a lifestyle that matches the genetic data that they have. But we use genetics as another biometric.